All right, today we're jumping into something really cool, NextSpace, or NXPC. If you remember the classic game MapleStory, well, this is its big Web3 evolution. We're going to explore how this project is trying to build a serious bridge between a beloved online world and a very, very real blockchain economy. So let's get into it.
And this really is the fundamental question, isn't it? Can all those hours you pour into a game, that epic loot you grind for, the community you're a part of, can that all translate into actual, real-world value? NextSpace is betting everything that the answer to that is a huge yes.
So to really get how they're pulling this off, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. First, we'll look at the game itself. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the tech and tokenomics. After that, we'll see how it goes from pixels to actual payments, weigh the pros and cons, and finally, take a look at what the future might hold for NextSpace. Okay, so first up, let's talk about the big picture. This isn't just about tacking a crypto token onto an old game. It's about a fundamental shift. It's about totally rewriting the rules of who owns what inside the game. So welcome to the MapleStory Universe. If you played the original, you'll recognize the world. But this is its Web3 upgrade. And here's the massive difference. The items you earn, they're not just pixels sitting on some company's server anymore. No, they are NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which means you actually provably own them. You can create new things, trade them, and, earn real value from what you do in the game. Right, but for an economy like this to actually function, it needs a serious engine running things. So let's pop the hood and take a look at the tech and the economic rules that make this whole thing tick. At the very heart of everything is NextSpace, the NXPC token. Think of this as the reserve currency for this entire universe, kind of like the US dollar of the game world. If you want to do any major economic activity, trading on the marketplace, crafting a super powerful new item, you're going to be using NXPC. It is the absolute backbone of the economy. But there's a second currency, and it's called NISO. And this is actually a really smart move. NISO is just for the day-to-day stuff inside the game. I mean, can you imagine having to pay a little blockchain gas fee every single time you kill a monster or buy a health potion? That would completely ruin the game. So NISO handles all those tiny internal gameplay loops, keeping the experience seamless and fun. And this comparison lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got NSPC. That's your bridge to the outside world, to the real-world economy. On the other side is NISO, which is the engine inside the game, powering all the little things that make it fun to play. One looks outward, the other powers what's happening within. It's a great system. Now here's a number that basically defines this whole economy. 1 billion. That's it. That is the absolute maximum number of NXP tokens that will ever exist. A fixed supply. This is so important because unlike in most games where the currency can just be printed into infinity, this builds in a real, programmable scarcity from day one. Which, of course, leads to the critical question. A lot of game economies just die from hyperinflation, right? More and more money gets printed until it's worthless. So with a fixed supply, how does NXSpace not only avoid that problem, but actually try to increase scarcity over time? And the answer is a token burn. This isn't just some idea on a white paper, it's already happening. The project takes revenue generated by the game, uses it to buy back NXPC tokens from the market, and then, poof, they destroy them permanently. You can see it right here on the timeline. We've got burns happening in late 2025, early 2026, adding up to over 5 million tokens just gone from circulation. Forever. What this does is create this amazing feedback loop. The more people play, the more successful the game is, and the more revenue it makes. That revenue is then used to fuel the token burn, which reduces the supply, increasing the scarcity and potential value of the tokens that are left. And hey, a more valuable token might just attract more players, and the whole cycle starts over again. It's a brilliant, self-reinforcing engine. Okay, so we've got a stable economy inside the game, that's great. But for any of this to really matter, there has to be a bridge to the real world. How do you actually turn those pixels you earned into real-world payments? Let's take a look. So inside the game, NXPC is definitely the king. You use it for all the important stuff. Paying fees on the NFT marketplace, minting brand new items, and it's the main store of value for the whole ecosystem. It's really the central hub for any serious economic moves. But, and this is the big twist, while it's super important inside the game, arguably the most groundbreaking use for NXPC has actually popped up completely outside of the MapleStory universe.
And here it is. This is the absolute game changer, the integration with Binance Pay. This is a huge, huge deal. It means the NXP you earn from taking down a boss in the game could literally buy you a coffee the next morning. It directly connects your in-game achievements to real-world spending power at millions of places instantly with no gas fees. That's wild. Now, anytime you have a project this ambitious, you're going to have some incredible wins and some pretty significant hurdles. So let's take a step back and get a balanced, honest look at where NEXPACE really stands today. First, let's talk achievements. The launch back in 2025 was, to put it mildly, an explosion. We're talking over $1 billion in trading volume in just the first 3 hours. That shows you just how much initial hype and interest was there from the get-go. So on the achievement side of the ledger, the list is pretty impressive, right? You've got that record-breaking launch, the killer Binance Pay integration, the transparent token burns. But the road ahead isn't easy. The biggest challenge by far is turning all that early hype into a long-term, active player base. Plus, they have to deal with the crazy volatility of the crypto market and, of course, the incredibly fierce competition in the GameFi space. So, with all that in mind, where does NEXPACE go from here? Let's talk about the key signals to watch for that will really tell us if this whole massive experiment is heading in the right direction. If you want to keep an eye on this project's health, these are the vital signs right here. Are people actually playing the game? And more importantly, are they sticking around? Is the economy on-chain actually active? Are they keeping their promise on the token burns? And are they releasing tools so that creators can build new things for the universe? These metrics will tell the true story. When we look down the road, you can kind of imagine 3 possible futures. The optimistic one: the player base grows, the token burns do their job and create real scarcity, and NXPACE becomes a true leader in GameFi. The neutral path is that it finds its audience, but growth is slow, and the token stays pretty volatile. And, of course, the negative scenario is that it just doesn't attract enough players and gets lost in the noise as bigger competitors take over. And when you boil it all down, it really comes to this. The team has built the bridge, the tech is there, the tokenomics make sense, the real-world payment system is live. They've done their job. Now, the entire future of this project rests on one thing and one thing only. Will enough people show up to play? And that leaves us with one last really fascinating question. We know MapleStory has this amazing legacy built on decades of genuine player passion. But is that passion powerful enough to be the engine for a whole new kind of global, decentralized economy? The experiment is officially underway, and honestly, the whole world is watching to see how it plays out.